Hello and welcome to the last two chapters of Farm Workers Unite. Today we're going to read chapter 6 and 7. Chapter 6, The Great Grape Boycott. In the summer of 1967, the new union decided to focus its efforts on growers of the table grapes, or eating grapes. The Great Delano Grape Strike had been against growers who grew grapes used for making wine. In the middle of the harvest that August, thousands of workers at the Guimara Corporation went on strike to protest low wages. Guimara was California's largest table grape grower. Workers at other vineyards soon followed. The growers were desperate to get the fruit picked, so they brought in workers who were not part of the union. Because the union couldn't stop grapes from being picked, Chavez decided to try to stop Guerrero from selling them. He asked people across the country to boycott or stop buying table grapes grown by Guimara. Guimara tried to fool shoppers by putting labels of other growers on its grapes. Shoppers responded by asking the public to stop buying all California grapes. The Guimara boycott grew into the famous Great Grape Boycott, which began in January 1968. Chavez sent organizers all over the United States to talk to people and encourage them to stop buying grapes. Once the public learned about the difficult lives of farm workers, they were happy to stop buying grapes in order to support the workers. Supporters of boycotts across the country suspected that strikers never used violence, keeping the peace. Meanwhile, the Great Delano Grape Strike was still going on. Growers began using violent tactics against the strikers. It was becoming harder and harder for Chavez to keep the strikers under control and to keep the union's promise of nonviolence. In February 1968, to remind the workers of their promise, he decided to go on a fast, or to stop eating. And I'm going to start here real fast. Picking grapes. Grape workers were paid according to how many grapes they picked. Vine grapers could be picked quickly because workers could throw them in a bin, knowing that they would be crushed later. Table grapes had to be picked more carefully, which meant it took longer to pick the table grapes than the wine grapes. Table grape workers thought it was unfair that the slower picking made their wages lower than of the other grape workers. So Chavez decided to go on a fast. At first, people didn't understand what Chavez was doing, but his fast was very effective. It attracted a lot of attention from the media, and it united the strikers. Chavez fasted for 25 days and lost more than 30 pounds in weight. The fast got Chavez's message across the workers and the public. The union was committed to nonviolence. The Great Grape Boycott continued for 2 years. Workers never gave up. Finally, in July of 1970, the Guimara Corporation signed the contract that gave workers pay raises. Guimara also provided fresh water and toilets in the fields, medical plans, and protections against pesticides. Other growers soon followed its example. So here's the left on this picture. Supporters helped Chavez walk into a meeting 4 days before he ends his fast. And over here, Chavez and John Guimara Jr. from the Guimara Corporation celebrate the signing of the contract. Chapter 7. New Battles, New Victories. During the 1970s, the United Farm Workers of America continued to improve the working and living conditions of farm workers using the same nonviolent methods. Growers had to accept that times were changing. By the 1980s, thousands of migrant workers had contracts that gave them better pay, paid vacation, health plans, and some guarantees for safe and working conditions. The short-handed hoe was eventually completely banned. Although there were still thousands of workers who traveled around following the harvest, most now had a home to go to at the end of the season. Many could earn enough money so that their children didn't have to work in the fields and could go to school. The campaign against pesticides. Well into the 1980s, most growers sprayed their crops with pesticides. Some even continued to spray pesticides from airplanes while workers were in the fields. The workers were being poisoned by being exposed to pesticides on the crops they handled and the air they breathed. In 1983, health workers documented that many farm workers were getting cancer. In 1984, Chavez and the United Farm Workers of America started a new boycott focused on the use of pesticides. Organizers from the union helped inform the public that the produce they were buying and eating had been treated with chemicals that made farm workers sick. Shoppers began to refuse to buy grapes and other crops that had been sprayed with dangerous pesticides. In 1988, Chavezs fasted for 36 days to try to change California's laws. Thanks in part to the efforts of Chavez and the United Farm Workers of America, California now has strict rules against the use of pesticides. The struggle to go on. Cesar Chavez died in 1993 at age 66. In 1994, President Bill Clinton awarded him the U.S. Medal of Freedom. At the award ceremony, the president said, "This remarkable man led a very courageous life, and in doing so, he brought dignity to the lives of so many others and provided us the inspiration for the rest of our nation's history." Dolores Huerta continues to work for the rights of migrant workers and Mexican Americans. She has helped to get unemployment benefits, medical plans, and even homes for farm workers. In 2002, she received the Puffin Foundation/National Institute Award for Creative Citizenship. Farm laborers still work long hours for low wages, but thanks to the work of Chavez and Huerta and United Farm Workers of America, they are protected by laws that guaranteed safe working conditions and fair pay. Some employers still look for ways to get around the laws, but the United Farm Workers of America will always be there to fight for justice for the workers. All right, that was the end of Farm Workers Unite, the Great Great Boycott. Thank you so much for listening.